Now, Neil, first of all, Garryowen against St Mary's at the weekend, a massive game and a chance for you to lead the team to semi-final.
Yeah, it's the first time in a long time, I suppose, longer than I've been in the club, that we've made it to this kind of part of a season. We've always been, I don't know, front nine kind of team, and then the back nine seemed to wither away from us, and we fall off the pace of maybe the leading pack, the leading six. We've always been challenging, but we're just, I don't know, maybe a bit of naivety from players, and a bit of youth might have been, a hindrance that we just couldn't get over that final finish. But this year, I think we definitely have what it takes to make it to the semi-finals.
And a couple of years ago, Cronin came in as head coach and steered you back into Division 1A, and that was massive because people were saying 1A needed Garryowen. And now, after a couple of years of maybe rebuilding and obviously brought in players this year, back to basically the top of the division and in the top four at least, and challenging is fantastic.
Yeah, look, Garryowen's a historic club. It's been around for as long as most of them, if not longer. So I think it's hugely important for Limerick Rugby to have as many clubs in it in the top 1A division. So I think if we were to look at it, we needed to be in there. It was very disappointing when we went down that time. I was involved. It was a horrible season. You just couldn't. You're in a rush. You just can't get out of it. And then to come back up the year after, it was massive motivation. Like you said, it takes 1 or 2 years to build. We had a few rocky years like last year. It definitely showed that we're in a building stage. But I think if we look at that this year as opposed to last year, you can definitely see the difference in terms of winning games that you possibly didn't win last year.
Yeah, and talking about that, having obviously Limerick clubs in the AIL and successful clubs, you're after being given a Munster contract for next season. I know it's a massive boost for yourself, but it's also a massive boost for the league, showing that the respect is there, that people are coming to see the league, and that you're credited for good club performances with contracts, obviously.
Oh, definitely. Look, you'd see guys, if you come out here on a Saturday, you'd definitely see fellas who are Munster Academy, Munster Development, fully contracted rugby players playing week in, week out for Garryowen, for Young Munsters, for Shannon, around the city and around Munster. It's huge because it allows guys like myself, who would have been an amateur status, come up against players who are fully professional, and you take these guys on, you think you've had a chance against them, you show that you're able for them, and it gives yourself a bonus as well as people who are watching, saying he's a decent player because he's after showing that he can do this against the top level players.
Now, Neil, and it's been a fantastic year for yourself as well, captaining the Club Ireland side, obviously lifting the Munster Senior Cup, as well as a great coaching role with St Munchin's in the Junior Cup, winning that for the first time in 20 years. That coupled with this Munster contract, outstanding year.
Yeah, it's almost been a bit surreal, I think. They all kind of came one at a time, I suppose. We had the Senior Cup in January. The Junior Cup win then was in March, and then the Irish clubs, which was a huge honour at any level to captain your country, no matter what it is. It was unreal, and it was something I definitely cherish for the rest of my life. And then to get the call for to go professional and have another contract with Munster was definitely I don't know. It's something that's hard to put words into, because it's something you always look at. It's what people thrive to do. They want to be professional rugby players when they play rugby. I thought maybe time might have come and gone. I don't know. It happens when years tick on. You kind of feel, is that my year? Was that it? And then I had a good year, and I think it people reward people who work hard, and I think that definitely happened this year.
Yeah, and you were obviously involved with Munster when you were a bit younger and when you were in college. When this opportunity kind of arose, I mean, you're settled now, you're playing your rugby with Garryowen, obviously captaining the side, you're a teacher out in St Munchin's. Was there any bit of hesitance, or you just wanted to take your chance? You're 25, so it's probably perfect timing in a way.
Yeah, look, there always is a hesitance. You're always kind of taking that chance, aren't you? There's a risk in everything you do. I think it would be a serious commitment to make, but I think it's something you can't turn down. It's something, since I was 8 years old, I wanted to be a professional rugby player. You want to be a rugby player. You want to be a sports person first, and then when you get older, you zone in on one that you might be best at, or that you have the most interest in, and it's always been rugby for me and my family. So I think the minute, when a couple of years ago, when it kind of came and went, I felt maybe that was it. I got another chance, and I don't think you can turn that down. I think you have to go in with both feet and really give it everything you have.
Yeah, and speaking of family there, obviously your brother Sean playing for Leinster in Ireland. Did you speak to him about it?
I did. Look, he gave me advice. He always, I don't think you can get better advice than someone who's maybe been through it. He's had the same kind of scenario a long time ago now because he's older, but I think he can only give that kind of advice that people who are in that system can give. He understands maybe what it's worth, that kind of way. I don't think you can get that grasp on how important it is to go into a setup to make sure that you're giving it everything you have, because it'll pass you by if you don't. And he really gave some good advice in terms of that.
Yeah, and just from watching you play in club games, you're highly competitive, obviously the captain of a successful club. You're not going to go in there to make up the numbers. I know you'll want to try your best to kick on in there in the camp.
Definitely. Look, I know where I stand as well. You have to go in at the bottom, but I'm definitely not going to leave it at that. I'm going to try everything I can. It's a 1-year contract, so it's 1 year to prove that I can stay on and be at a certain level. So I'm definitely going to make sure that I'm not going to leave that with any regrets, no matter what it is. If I have to do what I have to do in terms of when I get my chance, make sure that I show what I can give. That's all I can do, I suppose.
Would be a fantastic year if you could lift the AIL title before you moved on to Munster.
Definitely. Look, I know it's definitely in the back of my mind, the professional contract that I signed, but at the end of the day, I started the year with Garryowen and I see myself wanting to finish off as best as I can. We've lifted the Munster Senior Cup now and we're looking to finish top 4, and once you're in a semi-final, anything can happen. So get that AIL medal will be the icing on the cake, I suppose.